So, Becky, you have a bunch of hotels in the Midwest, right?
Yeah, that's right.
How have they fared amid all this COVID mess?
Yeah. Probably as well as others in our industry. I don't think we're an exception to that by any means. It's interesting because our portfolio really represents communities, the communities they live in. And we, as independent boutique hotels, we probably take that on at a different layer than some other hotels may. We literally represent them. So this is a little bit, I think it's personal to everybody, but I think we carry that community in what we do. So our protocols and our change of measures and everything that has come through all of this has certainly represented the community further. So the dynamic is, in our portfolio, we have 9 different hotels in 9 different cities in 5 different states. So when you start looking at that, we have to individualize by the community. And that's probably been the biggest challenge because what Wisconsin does is different than what Iowa does, is different than what Missouri does. And then there's Illinois, which is a whole other animal. So we have had to really punt and kick more concentrated individually than we can portfolio wide because of that, which has been one of our biggest challenges from a corporate perspective. But even from GMs bouncing off of each other, that hasn't been the same as it usually is because the situations are still so different across a border.
Right. Are you seeing any bookings now?
Yeah, they're starting to come in. A big part of the reopening was to do just that, right? Let the phone ring, let us answer the call to get things on the books again. I would say, we are starting to see some more comfortable travel in the fall. There's nothing too immediate. There's some immediate things that are happening because people are just itching to get out of their home and get somewhere safe. So our messaging about being able to do that has prompted some of that conversation. But, it's so hard. It's so hard because there's no demand, right?
Right.
And we've been very calculated and intentional about what our marketing message is, just as much of the other industry is. It's not about discounted rate right now. It's about people feeling comfortable and safe. And so that's going to be a little bit slower of a trickle. We also have several hotels that are group properties. And groups,
Oh, yeah.
or, leisure destinations that were all about bus tour and travel, those are industries that are not going to rebound until 21 and beyond before they get back to normal measures. So what are we doing to fill that gap? How do we manage those vacancies? What does that do to our staff and the logistics with our banquet staffs? Yeah, it's been constant, right? COVID started in March, but it's been different every day. So every day we move forward, it just constantly requires us to evolve and go with the flow.
Right. Have
Yeah.
you been have you been doing anything unique with any property as far as some of the things that you're marketing or highlighting?
Well, unique as the next guy. I think we're all challenged with what those pieces are. I think we have an opportunity as boutique properties to be a little more nimble,
Hmm.
that we have some flexibility to really cater to the one person who calls but needs something special and different. And we're still managing that philosophy very strongly. That's one place we can really excel here. So that's been great. In as much as, we can be the office for that person who doesn't want to go home to work but needs a place to concentrate, or we can be that extended stay of somebody who might be a caregiver of somebody who was exposed to COVID. So, it's a whole different dynamic and market segment that we're working with. But our flexibility has really been a kind way of helping to take care of those in need.
So the flexibility you're talking about, your
Mhm.
boots on the ground staff probably have quite a bit of authority, huh? To
Absolutely.
meet
Yeah.
need, whatever that need might be.
Yeah, 150%. I mean, I can't express that more, especially as we reduced staffing levels, right? So many of our line level staff had to wait at home until we were comfortable bringing them back in under new protocols and had demand that warranted their time. So the managers really stepped to the front line. And if can there be a silver lining in this? I'm not sure. But if there was, that perspective of the manager being boots on the ground at that frontline perspective really allowed us the time to absorb and wrap our arms around the ideas of what we need to do for our guests going forward coming out of this. So
Yeah.
it's been positive in whatever
So
way.
how is your staff? How are they doing?
You know, they're beaten. They're tired. they're, I think it's interesting because while our staff is being well taken care of, I mean, their care right now is so paramount. There's a mental thing that's happening with COVID in each of our lives that's impacting everybody very uniquely and very differently. And we have taken some strong measures just to connect with the psyche of them. As much as it was, here's your face masks, here's our new protocols, we're, providing a safe comfort. But mentally, this has been really a challenge from the associate who lives by themselves and now has never been lonelier ever in their life as they are right now, to the working parent who is now teacher, caregiver, parent, and the breadwinner of that house. And how do they balance all of that? Not to mention the just fear of COVID. We have had a property that had resulted in a few deaths of associates from COVID. And that's a gut check.
Right.
And, so all of that cycles out here and creates this anxiety with them. And if our associates aren't taking care of themselves, we can't expect them to take care of others. So we're really focused on making sure that they're good and comfortable and safe and have outlets that they need in order to, kind of live through this.
Mm-hmm. So what do you see in the near term, like over the next 2 or 3 months, for your community properties in several states, they're all in the Midwest, I believe?
Yes.
What's your crystal ball tell you?
You're nothing more than what any of your other speakers have been talking about, Jason, because we're just going to echo more of the same thoughts, but it's exactly right. I mean, domestic travel is going to go up. That will start to trickle in. International travel won't. So reducing the expectations on that. Air travel is not going to be very strong in any of our markets. Group travel, as we talked about earlier, we have to pretend that doesn't exist for the next 6 to 8 months. There's this personal side of group travel, right? The social market. So weddings are itching. We are seeing some anxious brides who want to get back on the books and get that date reserved. So that is starting to bubble back up. People are starting to get comfortable with that, but those numbers will go down. They won't have the 300-person wedding. They're going to have 150 people now. Those types of pieces are certainly still there. Crystal ball, don't know that I really have one. I think we have to continue to be nimble. We also have to layer in, with everything that's happening with George Floyd, that puts a whole nother layer on the challenges that we're feeling from COVID. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like when you're down and out, we continue to get punched. And there's some more anxiety and more unrest that issues to our properties and our teams. We do have a property in the Chicagoland area. So, that has been strong. Madison, Wisconsin saw some challenges over the weekend. I don't know that there's a community that really hasn't experienced a challenge with that yet or within reach of one.
Right.
So how do those layers, when they keep coming, how do we manage those?
Yeah.
I'm anxious about what that means. So from a crystal ball perspective, in answer to your question, which is a non-answer to your question, we just have to keep our head down and stay focused right now. We can't get lost in the, well, someday this will come mentality. This is still a very active zone for us to be in.